All right, so I'm out on my night walk here with Sue and little Minnie, who's going potty. So just updating things. Fires, they're kind of out, but everyone's on warning. It's actually pretty desolate here in Calabasas. Actually, where I live, power's on. This side and then other parts of the neighborhood and the town, power's off. So a lot of people, they just take off. People here have means, so they just go to their other houses in other states or whatever. Like, it's actually, I mentioned before, traffic's pretty easy driving around, but it's just a little eerie, desolate. And the winds, I mean, maybe the next couple days there'll be, but there's not any winds tonight. So anyway, we're fine. Our power's on. We're home. I am big on my routine, so when I get thrown off my routines, which it happens, it's life. I have a hard time. I don't make it about me, so I just cope. But it's kind of difficult for me. I like my routines, my little life with my dogs and my work and my clients. It all kind of just works in sync the way I need it to. And then when things get thrown off, I get thrown off. Speaking of, I'm having a real hard time. This is years now, and maybe, I guess I'm expecting people to be on the level of detail that I tend to operate for, like, everything, not just my work. But I've had a few people help me with things, and when you're, they're not creating content. Everything has to be, and this is the issue, my voice, complementing the things that I talk about. Just transcribe all my videos and podcasts and show and all that, and you'll get tons of content that's already there. I just don't have time and the attention span and the motivation to kind of go sit down for hours a day and do this like some content creators do. But then when they come back to me after articulating how I am not a positive reinforcement trainer, if anything, I'm the anti that, because of my experience seeing so many dogs that are trained that way, and the mindset of these people that is so vicious that they say the most horrible things about the trainers that are actually getting the job done and only helping the dog. So it's kind of frustrating to me that after all that time, I get these, here's some ideas for you, Brett. Let's talk about the content we're going to create. Here's a blog I created for you. And it's they're using ChatGPT because it's infiltrated with a woke mindset. But they could easily say, can you write about balanced dog training in the voice of Brett Endies? And at least we're getting on the right track, where you're like apples and oranging that shit. And after explaining it, and people who I've tried to work with couple occasions recently come at me with specifically that, it's like, are you just trying to like fucking taunt with me? Is this like that gang stalking shit where someone's like, purposely trying to make you go mad? And the problem is, it's limiting. I mean, I make enough money. I really am just satisfied doing my thing with clients one-on-one till I drift off in the sunset, maybe writing a book or two. But even that, like, someone actually who is competent is going to help me. But when it comes to like just this other stuff that I'm asking someone to assist me with, and they don't understand dog training, they're so out in left field, and they're just like, even you tell them, like, no, it's about rules and structure. It's not about feeling good. That's why there's problems. The dogs I see have issues, and we're fixing the issues. We're not trying to create them. And they just want to drift into that because everyone's so conditioned to think in this way, because everyone wants to feel good and make others feel good because they all want to fit in. The truth is secondary. Reality is secondary. And that's why we have so many issues with dogs. And in my opinion, the world, because everybody wants to float on a fucking cloud of narcissism instead of dig in and see what the deal is, what's uncomfortable. I'm the only one here walking at 11 o'clock at night, because most people have their dogs and aren't getting the exercise they need, taking the time, making the sacrifices. It's what's most comfortable and finding a set point, and I just keep pushing and pushing, and it makes people uncomfortable. And that expectation I put on people who work for me, not anything more than just, can you please compliment what I'm doing that I've worked so hard for so many years and sacrificed everything to do, to not just completely throw it out the window by, Brett, why are you promoting positive reinforcement only? Don't you talk about how that's a flawed ideology? And here's a blog that, at the base level, and you're going to work with me, and I tell you up front, you should research a little bit to know that fact, and I articulate all this like I'm saying in this video. It's kind of offensive. Shows a lack of care. It's like the same thing when people are habitually late and don't show up for things on time, and they make it your problem, even though you know what it takes to be on time. All these little things, and you think it's not how your dogs are perceiving your lack of go-gettedness and on point, give for the team type of mindset that dogs exclusively are, because And I'm telling you, if you're more like that as a human and be a cog in the greater cause, even though you might be a good, well-oiled cog and good at being a cog, it's not, especially when it comes to your dog. So I'm trying to circle this back to, but humans are really starting to frustrate. They'll not start to. Geez, it's been for a long time, but this is like more and more because I'm trying to get myself where I don't have to, I don't have to work as hard to make some kind of living, so I could have more freedom, not have to drive everywhere every day. And I love my work. It's fine. Like I said, I'm accepting that. I'll do more remote training, internet training, if I don't want to drive. I'll give people, because I know I give 110%. I'm hyper present when I'm with a client. I take notes in my head of what they're saying in ways of how can I help? How can I help? How can I address this? And sometimes it might be a lot, but it's all with the intention to help and make them feel heard. I respond to my text. I'm on point. If I'm a minute late, you'll hear I'm a minute late. I had some bullshit with people I was going to work with last week. These fires are going on. I have my dogs. I'm rounding up all my shit so I could evacuate because my power was getting killed. And it was Wednesday, right when all this stuff started. And I still drove to the other side of town. And listen, I'm on my way there and I get a text. They're going to be a half hour late. I'm like, oh, I really got to. And I had a brand new client after that, so I couldn't be late for that. It was rude to them. So I was like, well, listen, I'm on a tight schedule. And if you want it to not be a rushed meeting, if we're going to do some kind of business together, you got to get down here. Okay, 11:15, fine. I'll make a stop that I would have made later, so it's not a big deal. I get there at 11:15. First of all, the staff was rude. Like, who are you? So-and-so's not here. It's like, well, I was supposed to meet him here, and he's your boss. So be a little nicer to your potential customers or people you might be working for one day. And then it was still the guy, 11:33, I tailed out of there, and I just said, I'm sorry. I got a tight schedule. I can't do this. And I'm not going to work with someone who, there's no excuse. Younger dude, probably partied the night before, and even if it was whatever, you didn't make this the same level of priority that I made it. And that's a mismatch. It happens in dating. And you think your dogs don't sense it. You're not in the game as much as they are. Or you're not self-aware enough to be consistent for their needs. You think they don't pick up on that 24/7 just like me. Mr. ADHD, hyper alert, autistic brain, Terminator scanning shit all the time. You think your dog, that's why I understand how they're like seeing the flaws. And you better start picking up on it, at least when it comes to a relationship you have with a basic animal who needs your guidance and can't figure it out on their own. And we're projecting all of our stuff on it to boot, on them to boot. I'm just pointing it out how it is. Don't blame the messenger, because I'm not the guy who does that to people. That's why I expect it from people. I don't not do what I say. I own up to my mistakes. Nothing's perfect. Nobody's perfect. It's not about